Hello everyone, my name is Fizzy People, and today we're going to talk about what if Deku had Haki Part 2. If you're wondering why I still haven't uploaded a final part to Aquame, I still have no idea where I'm going with it. Nah, scratch that. That's going to be the final part now, since I have zero idea where I'm going with it, so... No overhaul arc, I guess. Alright, let's continue now. So now, let's get into it. Like and subscribe, hit the post notification bell, and that's it. So we gave it in our story with okay, let me actually get into the story. We begin our story with Deku punches. Alright, so Deku after the second date with Todoroki, they both go to the Shoto was able to spend the night. Nothing really happened, it was just Shoto sitting there, slept, and then he could then in turn fell asleep. It was because Shoto didn't want to go to stats that day. Luckily for Shoto, Endeavor was also very tired from all the work he did today. He just passed out. Then Deku just walked home. And Deku just walked home. No, Shoto walked home, and then the next day, well, not the next day, but after Deku wakes up, he gets ready, knowing that Todoroki's already gone, because, he's smart like that. And Deku just grabs his cane and heads out. I feel like killing myself. Deku now gets to school and just remembers, oh, we're going to the USJ. Luckily, my mom already signed it. So he puts the thing on the desk, and then he goes, yeah, I'm just gonna skip over it, yeah. And then they arrive afterwards. They both walk in, and Deku's like, hey, hey, Kaizawa, do you feel that? She was like, Aizawa is like, excuse me? What? Shoto is also confused and goes to walk over to Deku until Deku pulls his blade out and is just ready to, looks like he's about to fight something. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Why are you pulling out your sword? Because they're getting a bit afraid because Deku is one of the strongest people in this class, and he's pulling out his sword with a very big pressure that sounds like they're about to kill him. But luckily for them, it was just Korogiri appearing and then Deku just slashing him. But luckily for Korogiri, he instantly teleported away from this situation and was able to teleport everyone out of there. And then Deku just fell. And then Deku starts flying downwards. Alright, then Deku just as he's falling out of the sky into the water area, he already, even without even on the ground, he perceives that everyone's in the water. And then he opens his blade and then clamps it down, which it's a shockwave, which then clears the water, makes it a tornado, and then Shoto just slashes all of them. Non-killable, I might add. And they all get knocked out. And then Deku just lands lands down with his blade. Him putting the sheath back in, like, like spinning it and then sheathing it in front of his eyes. And then he catches Mineta. Then he catches Mineta. Actually, no. I think he catches Suyu, and then Mineta saves himself. And then he puts him down. Puts Shoto down. And Deku is about to throw their hands with every hero, uh, every villain there, until Shoto, uh, before, was stops him from even doing anything because he doesn't want the student getting in danger. uh, uh. Alright, so Deku then. And Deku just. Then, before he unsheaths it, he stops himself and then just sits down and waits and says Suyu to leave. And she just immediately grabs Minoria and just heads the frick out of there. And Deku just sits there and waits. And then Shoto just does what he does, and then and then gets creamed by the Nomu. And then Deku finally steps in. Then he runs up, armor and hockeys his foot, and then kicks the Nomu in the sky. Then Nomu gets frustrated and just puts into this pose that looks like he's about to stomp Deku in. And then Deku just stands there with his blade on his back and his hilt standing. And then he hits it. Then he spins, does a twirl. And then Deku just cuts the absolutely massive thing. And then the Nomu gets cut in half. But luckily for the Nomu, it regrows it and then just starts to slam at Deku. So it's like swinging. He's so close to hitting Deku, but every time Deku just weaves him with little difficulty. And then the Nomu gets stabbed, and then Deku just imbues the Nomu's body with haki. So then the Nomu's gut gets imbued with haki, and you're wondering why would he do that? It would just make him stronger. But actually, this makes him weaker because this is Deku's haki, not his haki. So it kind of poisons him, and then the Nomu starts bleeding out of its mouth, and then starts swinging at Deku more furiously, which Deku is still weave. Bro is like Hermes with his weaveness. And he just and then and then the Nomu grabs Deku's wrist and is about to bop him right in the face, like Kratos to Hermes, but Deku isn't a bitch, so he just conquers Haki's the Nomu's to sleep. Somehow he makes the Nomu sleep, and then Deku just makes his feet into conqueror's haki, not armor and haki, and then just bops him. And then the Nomu finally awakens back up because it's not just gonna fall to that. And Deku's unfazed. And then Deku starts swinging. Then Deku hits him with the slice, slice, slice. And then he hits him with the slice, slice, slice. The Nomu gets cut in 4 separate areas. Even the brain. Bro hits him with the Jotaro Kujo slice to the face. And then, it heals it, but somehow the Nomu then just stops moving. But instead of the Nomu then pronounced being dead, it actually just fell unconscious. It's not out, it's not cold, it's not sleeping, it's fine. It's just thinking. It's breathing, it's doing all that. It's just thinking. Until Shigaraki goes to destroy it because it's not doing what it says. Deku then just puts Deku's blade to Shigaraki's throat. And then Death Stares Shigaraki. Not Conqueror's Haki, just Death Stare, which almost does the exact same effect as Deku. The guy's about to fall over until Deku just then hits him with a hilt and knocks Shigaraki out. And then Deku sheaths his blade again and then says, "So, Korogiri, so, Korogiri, you're next." And then Korogiri gets shocked because he never told him his name. And then the Korogiri's like, starts hyperventilating because he's scared. Deku then just kills, not kills, but he doesn't kill him. What he does is, like, say, beat it, and then he throws Shigaraki towards him. And then Korogiri just dips. He's not dealing with this kind of bullcrap. And then Nomu finally twitches and then moves, and then sits down. It sits down and starts crying. And then Deku sits next to it and tells it, "I'm here if you need anything." And then Nomu gives it a big hug. Deku a big hug, which almost cracks Deku's rib. But luckily for the Nomu, it remembered it has immense strength and then let go of Deku. Deku pats him on the back because he knows he's been through a lot. Because look at this guy; he has scratches all over him. He's not humanly buff, even for a enhanced quirk. So Deku is just there for the Nomu until the Nomu just gets up and then just goes to Aizawa, picks him up, and then brings him to the front of the door, which gets busted in, and then everyone just gets absolutely scared because this giant bird creature is standing in front of the door with Shoto's, for them, dead body, but it's actually unconscious, so they start to get, they scream with All Might about to bop him in the face until Deku uh, gets there immediately and then tells All Might to chill out. Aizawa's still alive, and the Nomu is and the Nomu is here to help. And the Nomu, since he can't talk, just says, a pure old Kratos thing. And then Deku just tells him to chill out. And then Deku tells the Nomu to go with the pro heroes for now. I'll be there when you need me. If you ask for me. And then he looks towards all the pro heroes saying, Right. Right, right. And Nomu just, to his home? Is his home? That goes to his home. Deku just goes home afterwards. He does not need metal contention. Someone tells him to wait. You probably need metal contention, and then Deku just completely says no, and then he leaves. The person was too intimidated to fight the guy, and then sleep. Deku just Deku just sits down and thinks about um, how the Nomu feels right now, because he's scared of its mental state, because it probably was tortured often as a. And then Deku just eats my boy. Deku eats him, I guess. I'm kidding. What did I just say? Okay, but Shoto comes over because he feels that his friend, for now, uh, to see how he's alright, if he's okay, but, you know, because he's his friend. And he sits next to Deku and gives him a pat on the shoulder, not knowing what human contact is anymore. And Deku then puts his arm around Shoto and tells him, "Look at you getting all emotional, man." He starts shaking Shoto with his one hand. And yeah, of course, Shoto gets a bit, you know, surprised about the whole very squished touch, which he immediately just just shoots ice at Deku, but Deku's like wheezing. Luckily for Deku, he was on a very old bench, not a very old chair that needed to be taken out anyway. And then Deku just tells him, I didn't need the chair. And then he cuts out the ice and throws it out. Luckily, it doesn't hit anyone. Deku then goes to. Oh, I guess I got more time. Then I think Deku would say, well, you wanna stay the night? After throwing the ice away. Jojo says, I wish I could stay the whole week, honestly. Huh? We have a whole week off? Oh yeah, you don't know that, since you left. Oh, well, I can see if my mom's okay with that. And, and Shoto says, if she's alright with it, then I'm fine with it as well. And then, yeah, and then they spend the whole week together. He had some real sappy moments, but I don't want to go into it because I'm not good with that stuff, you know? I just started this kind of stuff. I'm not going to go straight into stuff I don't know. Sorry, rant. Deku then just, Deku then begins to go to school again for the sports festival. He hasn't been training, but he still is fit, but just not as battle ready as he used to be. But he's fine. So we begin the arc with Deku then just uh, sitting there waiting for the thing to begin. And Shoto already told him that he's gonna do his best, even if it means that they had to fight in the end. I will have to not use my fire quirk, which Deku is already like, are you kidding me? After all the time we've been together, you still haven't realized. This whole week we've been together, bro. This is a flashback, by the way. The whole 5 weeks we've been together. 1 week we've been together. You haven't realized that this is your quirk? Do you know how emotionally sappy I am? So I'm kind of offended you would say this isn't your quirk. And then, Shoto takes that to heart. Yeah, Shoto's going all out. No, not using his, fire quirk. Because there's no fucking... But then Deku, says, well, don't burn anyone, okay? And Deku's like, where's the logic? Well, I don't know. Let's go. Alright, let's go, buddy. And then the flashback's over, and then Shoto hits the ground with ice. Uh, Deku realizes that he isn't about to get hit, so he doesn't move, and so Shoto knew this, he would do this, so Deku just easily climbed over the ice and then ran with Shoto. Shoto hits 1-0 point with a fire fist and melts it, and then Deku just bops out of the way, and then they start just running together. Deku just shoots ice and clears a gap, while Deku just flings himself with haki waves. Shoo! And then Deku continues to run, and yeah, bomb area. Deku just freaking grabs the ground and then just throws the hard part of the ground into the sky. So Deku just climbs, and then Deku just bolts, and then Deku just shoots himself past. Yeah, Deku just throws the whole thing, and then Deku just starts running. And then she'll just like, this bitch should not just throw a whole area away. And then he continues to run, but, speeds up by shooting fire behind him. And Deku keeps running, and then it's a close thing until Deku gets the W. Sorry about that. And then Deku just wins. He gets the 10 million points. Shoto immediately joins his squad because you wouldn't join your friend's squad if they asked nicely. Sorry. Deku, I think he would just say thank you, and then ask someone else to join, and no one would join. This for Aravaka because she just thinks more is better than less. She's smart like that, and the girl with robotic stuff. Yeah, no one touches them. The whole thing. Like, I don't really want to sugarcoat it. Deku just conquers Haki's the whole dang thing. He just conquers Haki it. He doesn't even pick up anyone's bands. Actually, no, he picks up someone's bands at one of the people with lesser bands, and then just ties them to the stronger people. So Shoto and him have stronger opponents. All in all, Deku squad first, everyone else behind them. Bakugo second place, Kirishima third. No, whoever was third, I guess. I guess it's Shoto, but I guess that doesn't count. Fine, we'll give it to Monoma because he says everyone's the Class 1B's better, so I guess I'll give him the W. And then Deku just says, well, that was easy. And then the battles begin. Obviously, Deku versus Shinso, Conqueror Haki falls over. Alright, now, we're just gonna skip everyone else's fights, just to Deku versus Shoto. Yes, but they'll be the hands of God. You know, actually, no, I want to change this. It's Monova versus Deku. And Deku's like, So the battle begins. Deku walks up and says, so you're the Class 1B guy I have to worry about. I think the other guy was somebody else. But and then Momo decides to try to steal Deku's quirk. It doesn't work because this quirk takes skill and not just getting in and then knowing what it does. And then Deku just hits him with these 1, 2, bop 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 bop, hilt smack, and then another hilt smack right to the face, and the guy goes and Monomo goes flying. And now it's Shoto versus Deku. And then Deku just says, well, that was easy. Well, the last battle was pretty easy, don't you think, Shoto? He says, yeah, mine too. But, get ready. And Deku then gets into his stance and actually pulls out a sword before the battle begins. That confident in Shoto's abilities. And then they throw them hands. Shoto shoots a fire blast immediately at Deku, and then Deku just covers his entire body into haki, and then just flies towards, then goes through the flames, goes to slice Shoto Todoroki in the ribs, but no, he's not gonna kill him. And Deku already predicted this. Shoto hits him with the ice blast, he weaves it, hits Shoto in the back of the head with a hilt, but luckily for Shoto, he then weaves behind, is about to burn Deku, but Deku just moves the hand so nicely, bro. And then, yeah, rudely, I might add, smacks Shoto upwards by the buttocks. Don't worry, this is a plan. And then Deku then jumps up because what was he supposed to hit him? Because that was the only area he could hit upwards. Deku flies up, slices Shoto's uh, uh, little thigh, and then Deku grabs his wrist, twirls, throws him, and then shoots himself forward. And then Deku then hits Shoto with his hilt again, and then Shoto just gets beaten to the ground. And then Shoto was already disoriented, but getting his ass smacked. So Deku gets Shoto with the last smack to the head, and he's out. Deku's shirt is already burned off, so Shoto was already disoriented. He was very disoriented by Midoriya already, so sucks for Shoto, but he got disoriented 2 times and he's out. And then Deku sheaths his blade again, saying, "That was amazing, Shoto. I swear, whatever your goal was, I'll complete it for you." And then Shoto starts crying because he woke up right after the, beaten to the ground, saying, "Don't fail my mother, please. Not as I did. It's fine. I will, Shoto." Now it's Baku versus Deku. And then Deku just Deku then pulls his sheath out and starts, and then they start slashing at each other. The battle begins. Sorry, I just wasn't ignoring. And then Bakugo starts throwing these absolutely ginormous explosions at Deku, and Deku just keeps eating them. Sadly, his clothes keeps getting burnt, and he keeps losing more and more clothes. But luckily for Deku, Deku keeps hitting some explosions away so he doesn't lose all his clothes, you know. And then he keeps slashing at Bakugo, but only with Conqueror slices, but they're very dull Conqueror slices. And then Shoto just knocks. Deku starts beating Shoto Bakugo with his hilt, and so Bakugo hits him with an even more bigger explosion. Actually, no, he psychs it out and then hits him with an AP shot, and then blinds Deku, and then Deku gets, and then Bakugo hits him with the massive boom, and then. If you're wondering why Deku wasn't like how is that supposed to phase me? It still burnt his eyes. It's still like kind of confused his conqueror is vision a bit, like his conqueror's vision. And then Deku just knocks him out. And then Deku, after regaining his conqueror's vision, he doesn't know he's not wearing any clothes now. Yeah, Deku isn't wearing a single bit of clothes. But luckily for us, we only see Deku's conqueror's vision now. So, luckily for us, and sadly for Shoto. I'm kidding, not sadly for Shoto. Yeah, Deku's already doesn't know what's happening, and then he just realizes Bakugo's off guard, so he just hilt smacks the out of Bakugo, and then Shoto is already done. Bro's nose is completely bled out. Bro hit him with the Sanji treatment real quick, and then Shoto's out. Shoto's out cold, and then Deku is declared the victor, with Midnight being the very actually, she's like, yeah, good job, Midoriya, young Midoriya. And then she just says, now please go to the locker rooms. You must have a change of clothes, because no one wants to point out the fact that he's ass naked. And Deku just walks out. And then Deku then is about to like touch his pant buckle, but then he touches his hairy thing, and then he starts reaching around, and then realizes I am naked. And then he starts, and then he just starts blushing profusely, and then he immediately puts pants on because he's like, oh my god, I was just nude in front of millions of people, and then he starts shaking, starts crying, it's like, oh my god, I don't want to be your hero anymore. If this is probably going to be the only thing people remember me by. Alright. Now let me end the video. Well, okay. Well then, Deku blinks, and then that's where I'm gonna end things for night now. Hope you liked the video, and I guess I'll see y'all later. Okay, Kodokan. Oh crap.